crashes, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis, Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts with host David Lamb and the attorneys of Hollis, Wright.
Good evening and welcome into the attorneys. Thank you so much for joining us for the next half hour. Really interesting topic of conversation, talking about motorcycles and motorcycle safety, everything you need to know. Seems there are more motorcycles on the road now than ever before, so how can you stay safe? That's the topic of conversation. Have a panel of experts to deal with those issues. So call somebody if you know someone who loves riding those motorcycles. Tonight just might be the show for them. A couple of ground rules of how you can join our conversation. We'd love for you to do so, and we really try to make it easy for you. At the bottom of the screen, all throughout the program, you'll see ways you can join the conversation. Also, Hollis Wright makes available each and every Sunday evening during the attorneys, actual attorneys from Hollis Wright standing by live to speak with you. Would love for you to take advantage of that free, confidential, and all fair conversation, yours for the taking. The numbers to know, text is 205-670-1949 or call us toll free at 844-LAW-TALK, 844-529-8255. So let's get down to business. Leading the conversation, the managing partner of Hollis Wright, Josh Wright. Good to see you.
We make it simple for you to be able to contact, right? If you've got questions, we actually have lawyers standing by each Sunday night to answer calls, texts, emails, Facebook posts, Twitters, the whole deal. I don't even. There's some of those things I don't understand still to this day, but that's okay. Somehow they get to us. All right, so we're doing a show tonight on motorcycle accidents, kind of the rules of the road, if you will, on if you're operating a motorcycle and something happens, and things you can do to kind of prevent injury. You may have seen on TV for the last year or so an advertising campaign called Law Tigers.
Yes.
And we are lucky tonight to have one of our Law Tigers on.
One of the Tigers in the house.
We've got Matt Roden on. His dad and I go way back, and he works at Shelby Roden, and his dad and I go way back and have practiced law together for years, and we're super excited to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So explain to me this Law Tigers concept advertising campaign. It's kind of a cool campaign.
Yeah, so we, my dad's been practicing personal injury for a while, and I've been practicing personal injury, and this National Association of Lawyers came to us, last year. They knew that we were both riders and knew that we practiced personal injury law, and they were looking to find somebody to take hold of the association in Alabama, and they came to us, and we were excited about it, because we're riders ourselves and personal injury attorneys. So, I've dedicated my practice to it, and he's getting to where he's dedicating his practice as well.
The number of motorcycle accidents in this area is astounding. I've seen some of the statistics. We have a lot of motorcyclists in this area.
Yeah, in Alabama, I think there's 1,328 accidents a year to be exact, I think. And
nuts.
Yeah, there's way too many.
Do you think it helps you to understand the law and how to help people if they've been involved in a motorcycle accident that you and your dad ride? Do you think that helps you?
Absolutely. I think understanding how to operate a motorcycle and understanding that the risks that you undertake in riding a motorcycle is very helpful in these cases, yes.
So really, when you think about it, motorcyclists almost are operating with kind of a heightened responsibility because of, they're not maybe as transparent as others. And I mean, is that kind of something you see?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're riding a motorcycle, you definitely want to drive defensively and do everything that you can to always assume that another driver does not see you. If they're attempting to take a left turn, assume that they don't see you. Always be looking in your rear, that kind of thing. Yeah.
There's also, I've noticed some level of changes over the last decade on the technology on some of these motorcycles. For example, you see blinking front headlights, things like that really put you more on notice. I've actually seen that also with people that cycle, for exercise. Right. There's been definitely some changes in technology that help make these riders more evident on the roads.
No, that's right. And one of the things that riders are doing now is they're putting LED lights on their motorcycle. And a lot of motorcycles already come with LED lights on them, which are really helpful in helping other people on the road see them, that kind of thing.
What do you see as far as the types of injuries that people have with motorcycles? Are they heightened, more significant injuries than typical car accidents, or about the same because maybe the speeds are different? I mean, what do you see on a typical in a typical case?
Oh, absolutely. There's a higher incidence of serious injuries in these motorcycle accidents. They don't have the same level of protection as someone in an automobile does. So absolutely.
Well, and they're dealing with vehicles too that are significant and weigh a lot more. And a lot of times. A lot of these accidents are caused not by somebody not paying attention, but just not paying attention enough to recognize that you have a unique vehicle on the road that's different and unique than a car that you're really looking for.
Yeah. A question here about the age requirements to operate a motorcycle. Is it the same as driving a car?
No. Actually, in Alabama, to operate a motorcycle, you have to be 16 years or older. And you can go get you have to have an M designation on your license. To get that designation, you can either go take a motorcycle knowledge exam up at the DMV, and if you pass, they'll give you that designation on your license. Alternatively, you can go take the Motorcycle Safety Foundation's basic rider course. A lot of Harley shops in the state offer that. You can go take it out at University of Montevallo. If you pass that, you can take the certificate of completion up to the DMV, and they'll give you that M designation on your license. And the Motorcycle Safety Foundation has courses for all levels of riders, and so I'd recommend that no matter your experience level, you take one of those courses.
Motorcyclists have same requirements of insurance as a typical vehicle?
Yes, in the state of Alabama they do.
Okay, yes. And that's an issue that we face a lot is, everyone's supposed to have insurance in Alabama. You can pretty much guarantee if your case actually goes to trial, someone's got insurance, but sometimes people don't do it the right way, and so motorcyclists are held to the exact same standard. I know we're getting ready to go to break here in just a second. One of the things I do want to talk about when we come back is helmet laws and kind of how that has changed over the years and kind of where we stand right now related to that.
Yeah, it's kind of confusing whenever you travel from state to state.
That's right. They're all different.
Right.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get into that. We'll talk helmets and more all about motorcycles and motorcycle safety tonight on The Attorneys. As we head to break, a reminder, we'd love to have you join the conversation. You see the information there at the bottom of your screen. Also, Hollis Wright is all over social media. You can Google that term to go to the website, find it easily there. That's a great resource. You can also find them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Be sure and check out Hollis Wright on social media. Great educational, informational resource there. Stay tuned. We've got more of The Attorneys coming right up. I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright, a personal injury law firm. Thank you for watching The Attorneys. Now, we hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple. Provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free, so if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury-related topics, you can call, email, or text us. Or you can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or simply contact us by going to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us link. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us watching The Attorneys.
If you need help after an accident, contact the team of attorneys at Hollis Wright.
Our law firm proudly supports Alabama high school athletics as well as the AL.com Hollis Wright Player of the Week.
Be sure to vote every week in the AL.com Hollis Wright Player of the Week fan poll.
Be sure to go vote this week for your favorite player.
Welcome back into the attorneys. A couple of segments remaining. Would love to have you join our conversation. You see ways to do that there on your screen before we head back to the conversation. So talk to me about the attorneys standing by live. So calls and texts, or just calls? How's that
No,
work?
so calls, texts, emails. You're going to get a live lawyer to answer your question. One of the things we found with this show that is unique to some of the other shows, and we're certainly not criticizing the other shows, they do a great job, is people don't always want to be live on television. They want an opportunity to have a confidential conversation. A lot of times people, David, are intimidated to ask questions, and certainly intimidated to ask it in a public forum, right? And sometimes they're even embarrassed about the questions they have to ask, that they relate to legal related issues that they're not really proud of. This television show, we've decided, gives people the format to have a confidential, off air but still live conversation with a lawyer during our show. And we're around all week too. So if people have issues they can't ask on Sunday night, but they want to talk Monday through Friday or Saturday, we've got folks standing by that can answer those calls and emails and texts.
And those numbers, 205-670-1949 or 844-LAW-TALK.
Yeah. So let's talk just for a second about helmet laws. You know, we go on vacation during the summer, and I go to a state, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. They don't have a helmet law. But there are a lot of states out there that don't have a helmet law, aren't there?
There are some. Florida's one of them, but in Alabama, you do have to have a helmet when you're riding a motorcycle.
What's the issue there? I mean, is it a personal rights issue?
I think it's mostly wanting to have the choice to do it. There are studies out there that say that actually educating automobile drivers would be more effective in preventing the severity of these accidents than a helmet would. But again, in Alabama, you do have to have a helmet.
Yeah, that's interesting. Every time I go somewhere that does not have a helmet law, it just makes me scratch my head.
I just go, that doesn't look safe. That
No,
doesn't
not
look
at
like
all.
a good idea. Question we've got here, I've seen many times where motorcycles ride side by side in one lane. Is that legal, allowable?
Yes, you can do that in the state of Alabama. So, to as many motorcycles as can fit side by side in one lane can do it. It's not recommended for safety reasons. If you had to swerve to avoid something in the road, you don't have the ability to do so. It's preferable that you ride staggered. One ride, so the leading rider would be in the left third of the lane, and then the one behind him in the right third. Kind of with a safe distance and so on and so forth. And then, on another note, lane splitting is not legal in Alabama. So
Explain what that is.
So lane splitting is when you split the lane in between two automobiles that are riding side by side. That is not legal in the state of Alabama, even though it is in other states.
Yeah, and I see that a lot when there's a traffic jam, something else, and somebody will whip through.
Right.
It probably contributes to accidents. All right, let's just go back to kind of square one. Someone has a motorcycle accident. They come to you. How do you start? Where do you start? How do you manage that litigation, if you will?
Well, the first thing that you would want to recommend to a client is keep a record of everything: witness accounts, photographs, all that. Go see your physician as soon as possible to get an assessment of your injuries. And I think the number one thing to do is to keep a diary of your road to recovery. It's very difficult to remember months down the road what the pain that you endured while you were reaching what we call maximum medical improvement. And it helps the lawyer, it helps you tell your story, but it also helps your attorney tell your story as well.
Yeah, I think that's all great advice. I know that Matt's group, they evaluate these cases, and a lot of the injuries they see are significant, right? I mean, motorcyclists don't generally have simple scrapes and bruises. A lot of times you've got significant injuries. So getting to someone that understands the nuances of what a motorcyclist goes through, how to reconstruct an accident, how to determine whether or not it is the rider's fault versus an automobile's fault, it's really important to get to someone quickly.
An interesting question here. What if my accident is caused by a road hazard, not another vehicle? Can I still bring a claim?
Absolutely, yeah. A thorough investigation can identify any responsible parties, for loose gravel left in the road, or potholes, or what's called a pavement edge drop-off. Mm-hmm. It's a lot harder. When I say pavement edge drop-off, it's you got the road, but then there's a little bit of a drop-off on the side, and those can be especially dangerous for motorcycles if they end up over there, and it's difficult for them to get back on the road. Yeah.
Do you evaluate those? I mean, is that part of kind of the whole responsibility of evaluating a case, is looking to determine whether or not, for example, a pothole from a local municipality may have contributed to the accident, or the road grade drop-off? Are those things that you're evaluating?
Oh, absolutely. Those are things that we evaluate, to see if there's a potential claim there.
Yeah, and you think about when you're on an interstate, especially during road construction areas, about these drop-offs, and it's not as significant an issue for a regular automobile, but for a motorcyclist. It's why we have rules that the drop-offs can only be so big, without question. So.
Kind of a question here about riding through a neighborhood. I was riding through a neighborhood, a dog ran out, caused me to crash. I mean, it's not a road hazard, but it certainly hazardous.
Right.
What sort of a claim can they bring in that case?
Well, Alabama does have leash laws, and so you could bring a potential claim against the owner of that dog that ran out in front of you. They're responsible for keeping the dog on a leash and that kind of thing.
What's the general statute of limitation on these cases? Is it the same as a regular car accident?
It's 2 years generally.
Okay.
Yeah, just like any other personal injury action.
But when you've got these claims, a lot of times you've got to reconstruct kind of the circumstances that caused it. You recommend getting to a lawyer quickly?
Absolutely. Yeah, the quicker we can get on an investigation of the case, the better. Evidence can disappear and that kind of thing. So. And
kind of, I know I'm rapid firing you right now, but what happens if you don't have your helmet on? And I've seen this happen several times in Alabama. Don't have your helmet on, but you're involved in an accident. Can you still recover?
Yes, absolutely. It may be a little bit more difficult if your injuries are more head related, because not having a helmet on probably may have contributed to them. But if you have something else that wouldn't have been prevented by a helmet, it wouldn't prevent you from bringing a claim.
When we come back, because I know we're getting ready to go to break, I want to talk a little bit about how insurance works with reference to motorcycles, whether uninsured motorists is applicable in a motorcycle case, kind of like we talk about with vehicles. We'll talk about that stuff when we come back.
All right. We are stepping aside our final break of the evening. We'd love to have you join the conversation. Just a few minutes to do so, so stay tuned. More of the attorneys. In fact, the final segment is coming right up. Stay with us.
I'm Drew McNutt with the law firm of Hollis, Wright. We often get asked what happens if someone is injured by a motorist who doesn't have any insurance coverage. In tonight's Legal 411, we will address uninsured motorist coverage. Under Alabama law, all automobile policies issued must provide uninsured motorist coverage unless the name insured rejects the coverage in writing. If you purchase this coverage and you are injured by an uninsured driver, you can make a claim against your own insurance company to compensate you for the injuries caused by an uninsured or underinsured driver. While liability insurance is required by state law, it is estimated that over 20% of the motorists in Alabama do not have any coverage at all. Uninsured motorist coverage provides you with the ability to protect yourself and your family in the event you are injured or killed by one of these uninsured drivers. If you are concerned about whether you're covered, I recommend that you check your declarations page or contact your insurance agent to discuss your coverage options. If you do not have uninsured motorist coverage, consider adding it. And if you do have it, discuss increasing your limits. Oftentimes, you can purchase hundreds of thousands in coverage for less than $100 a year. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on the real issues you face. Remember, a competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you. Thanks for watching The Attorneys on WVTM 13.
Welcome back into the Attorneys, our final segment right here. So under 8 minutes remaining. If you want to take advantage of the opportunity to speak with the attorneys from Hollis Wright standing by live, you've got less than 8 minutes to do so. Josh?
Let's talk just for a second about motorcycles and insurance. Matt, if I'm involved in an accident with someone that is either uninsured or underinsured, do I have some recourse?
Yes, you do. If you have the right coverage on your motorcycle, and also potentially vehicles that you have other than the motorcycle, if you've got what's called underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage, and it's since the severity of these, the injuries in a motorcycle accident are very severe, it's advisable that you have that coverage and check with your insurance agent.
Yeah, we advise a lot for people to buy up as much uninsured motorist coverage as they can. It's very inexpensive. It's kind of rainy day coverage. It's to help you on a rainy day when there's not sufficient coverage to help you. And the number of times that people actually need uninsured motorists, but they waived it intentionally, because you got to intentionally waive it if you don't want it, happens a lot. And so we would highly recommend for those that are motorcyclists to make sure you do purchase uninsured motorist coverage, for sure.
I've noticed in the last couple of years a lot of insurance companies doing like advertising campaigns just for motorcycle coverage. I guess that has to do with the rise in popularity, I guess.
It could be, yeah. Progressive's a big one that's been doing that, yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing. Some of the statistics, just getting ready for the show, the increased percentage that people have getting injured, 30% increase of fatalities if you don't have a helmet. I mean, there are a lot of dangerous things, but there are also a lot of safe ways to ride motorcycles, aren't there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Driving defensively and that kind of thing could significantly reduce the chances that you're in an accident.
And what do you see most often in your practice when it comes to motorcycle cases? I do, for example, a lot of dram shop litigation where alcohol is related, and all those injuries seem to be catastrophic because people make terrible decisions when they're drinking and driving. Do you see something similar with motorcyclists, or do you see some just general injuries, or are they generally pretty significant injuries?
They're generally pretty significant, yes. A biker is very lucky if they make it out of a motorcycle accident with minor injuries.
Yeah. It's one of those deals where if you're going to be involved in an accident, it's probably going to be significant. So you got to make sure you do what you can to try and protect yourself.
Right. A question we've got here: I was a passenger on a motorcycle and I was injured in a crash due to the negligent driving of the operator. Can I bring a lawsuit for my injuries?
Yes, under certain circumstances in the state of Alabama, if the operator of the motorcycle was driving reckless or drunk or speeding, then you could potentially bring a claim against the driver, yes.
Matt, do you see ATV cases at all? Because I know with your motorcycle practice, sometimes those two things are equated to each other. Do you see some of those cases that come in?
We don't see too many of them, but handling it would be similar to handling a motorcycle accident.
Yeah. How long have you been riding?
I've been riding for about a year. I practiced with my father. He's been riding probably 15 years. Yeah, he's been riding a really long time.
And so ultimately, this just kind of became a specialty for you guys over the last year to 2 years. What else do you do in your practice?
So we do a lot of toxic exposure cases. We've done that historically. And we've kind of, like I said, we've kind of transitioned into dedicating our practice to handling these motorcycle accidents.
It seems like in many times whenever we do the show, the state of Alabama is kind of slow to make changes to kind of new developments, like the increase in motorcycle riders. Legally and kind of legislatively to protect motorcycles, has the state, are there any things happening there to make it safer and make it, I guess, more tougher for those folks who are kind of mindlessly driving and maybe injuring somebody on a motorcycle?
We see a lot of campaigns. You see it on the road, watch out for motorcycle riders, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of that going on, trying to raise awareness to other people on the road to watch out for riders.
Do you see mechanical issues as contributing causes a lot? Somebody doesn't maintain a blinker, someone does not maintain the unit, they don't have good tires. Are those things you see a lot?
Sometimes, yes, we see that. It can contribute to an accident at times, yeah.
Yeah, I get concerned too, like, when I drive a regular vehicle, see a pothole with some of these municipalities, they drive me crazy that, that we can't keep our roads up, but for one reason or another, it's just the way it rolls. Those are a lot more significant. I know motorcyclists are a lot more agile and able to bob and weave a little bit better, but those are pretty significant issues, aren't they?
Absolutely. You're on 2 wheels, you're not on 4, so those things are a lot more impactful.
And some of the roads are terrible.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, there's no question. I mean, some municipalities do a better job than others, without question. And just tell me this kind of generally. I saw some of the statistics related to this. Is there, like with the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, are there changes afoot to try and make it safer for people to ride? Are there dedicated areas that they're trying to provide nationally? I mean, what are you seeing kind of nationally about motorcyclists, if anything?
It's going back to raising awareness. There is a big movement to raise awareness and make other people on the road more aware of riders and to watch and to check a second time before they change lanes or whatever it may be.
Yeah. We're just about out of time, about a minute and a half remaining in the show. Time for a final thought. Matt, if you would you go first, please.
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I would say is if you're in an accident to get an attorney so that they can hop on the investigation as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I would echo that. I think there are certain nuances in motorcycle accidents that require someone like Matt and his group to go evaluate those cases, whether it is a mechanical related issue, whether it is the rules of the road that a motorcyclist has for turns and stopping distance. You need someone that can walk you through all the nuances of this area of the law. And so I'd recommend that you get a lawyer as quick as you can. And Matt's group and his dad have done an incredible job in kind of create a new marketing campaign to be able to help raise awareness that there's a specialty out there if you run yourself into these types of issues.
Some really good advice.
Good job, man.
Appreciate it.
You did a good job.
Thanks
Glad to have you
on.
on. Absolutely.
Matt and Josh, appreciate you being with us. And as always, we really appreciate you joining us each and every Sunday evening as we wrap things up. Hollis Wright, just Google search, you'll find them there. The website or ways you can contact them. They would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time right here on The Attorneys.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.